Hello everyone. So this video to explain you how you can deal with your tax report. This should be doable for any kind of customer, but in any case, here I took the case of the UK as it is the one I'm dealing with the most. Basically, you have information to set up when you deal with your tax report, and obviously when you have your tax report and your tax that are payable or receivable that are computed, you would like to be able to record that in your specific account. And the goal of this video is to show you how you can have the interaction with the HMRC, how you can have all the accounts correctly set up, and how you can also obviously use your own account and then have your tax report correctly set up, that is published on time, and also that is impacting your journal entries correctly and with the account that you want. So obviously, the first thing to do is to configure it. So you have the configuration from there that you can go and check everything, and there obviously you have the configuration for your tax and your fiscal period. But you can also come from here. So if I click here, configure, you can see I have my fiscal year and I have my tax return. If now I go in configurations, settings, and I have it here, tax return periodicity. In V13, it's not at this page, it's a bit more down with the fiscal position, I think. Where is it? And I think it's important to show you because it's not exactly the same thing. Yeah, so we have here the fiscal period. And it's a good thing that actually they are separated because the fiscal period has no link with the tax return periodicity. So basically, the tax return periodicity, for example, in the UK, can be different than the fiscal period. Normally, in Belgium, they are aligned. So they are aligned with the calendar year. So it means that if, for example, you have a periodicity of monthly, then it means it will monthly, quarterly. It means then every 3 months. Then it means that it's going to be always in March because it's every 3 months and we base our computation on the calendar year. That's for Belgium. For UK, it's not. For UK, you could have that one quarter actually ends in January or in February because it's not based on the calendar year. So that's something that is important. And that's also, I think, one of the reasons why this is actually separated. So obviously, you have your fiscal period that you can define here under, is it again? Here, so the last day of your fiscal year. And then here at the top, you have your periodicity for your tax return. So as you can see, you have monthly, annually, semi-annually, every 4 months, quarterly, every 2 months. So there, every 4 months, every 2 months, and quarterly and semi-annually are actually all options. You need to pay attention to it because as I just mentioned, there is a difference between the UK and, for example, Belgium. Belgium, we base on the calendar year, and in the UK, we don't base on the calendar year. I know in the V13, we had an issue that was forcing you to work with calendar year. So that quarterly was indeed every 3 months, and then it means it was every March and then May, which then for the UK was not always the case. But this is actually the periodicity is in order for you to get a reminder. So if you are in V13 and then your periodicity is quarterly and actually ends in February, it's possible that Odoo will not allow you to post your report in February because you specify that you are quarterly. But then you can just switch it into monthly, and then it means that Odoo will allow you to publish your report every month. The only thing is that every month you will receive a reminder, 7 days, for example, here, because that's what is specified, 7 days before the period. I think he says after the period. I think it should be 7 days before or whatever. But basically, it means that if you are in a previous version, you need to pay attention. And if indeed Odoo is preventing you to send, it's because it's computing on the calendar year, and then you just need to come here, switch on monthly, and then Odoo will allow you to send your report. It's just that then every month you will receive a reminder, which is actually not really of an issue because you don't really care at that moment, and obviously you know when you need to publish your report. So that's not preventing you to work. It's just that you have a notification that then becomes useless. I think it has been fixed. I did not try it there, but I think it has been fixed because there was a task for that for a few months, and I think now it's fixed. But in any case, if that still happens, don't hesitate to contact the support or to contact one of, if you are consultant, one of our experts, in order to make the feedback directly to the product owner and the R&D. Okay, so now that is covered, there is another things that that you can see here. Configure your tax account. This is something that needs to be configured. Otherwise, Odoo will not allow you to publish actually your report, because he wants to, once he's publishing the report, he wants to compute actually a journal entry with what is in payable and what is in receivable. So if you click in here, you will see this. You see a table with payable, receivable, and advanced tax payment account. I'm going to go back to that in a few minutes, because that's obviously at the moment you need to publish it. But in the meantime, when you want to get a look at your report, you can go into the dashboard, and there you can see, where is it? Normally you should have a tax report here. Maybe it's because I have no entry, but normally you have a button tax report in here that's displayed. And if you click in here, normally it directly shows you the report filtered on the correct period. But you can obviously also come in here and click there on tax report, sorry. If you click here on tax report, we can see here we have the February, and we have you obviously need to check here to be sure that this is the correct one, but you see it here also. And if you want to play around, create your own filter, you can play around with the way you want. And this is also where you're going to connect to HMRC. Obviously, the connection is done one time. Once it's connected, it's just you that needs to publish it to the HMRC. And you can close, obviously, to create a journal entry that is, as I mentioned, will create what is owed, or what is owed to you, or what you owe to the government. And then everything is going to be computed, so you don't even need yourself to write the entry. Odoo will write it for you. Also, something that is important, you see there are unposted journal entries. You see here we have opening journal entry, so that's the one that we use when we do the initial balance. So in that case, we don't care. But normally we have one entry that is always ready. Up. Okay, in this case, no, but normally you always have one entry that is always ready with the next period. So it's a draft entry, so it's not posted in anything, and that's that entry that needs to be that is going actually to be computed by the report you have here. So in the tax report you have here, when you do click closing journal entry, you see here I cannot at the moment, but normally you have the entry and it's in draft, and then it's computing everything based on the computation here, or based on the amount, and based also on the account you specified on the configuration I just showed you a little bit before. And from there, the entry is then validated, and then you can send it to HMRC, which is there obviously only for the UK customers. So this is about that. Now let's go back into the configuration I mentioned about the tax. So the tax account. So basically here it's quite simple. Your tax current account for payable, you have payable. I don't know which account is it in the UK, but I know that there is tax account, sales tax control account, and you have purchase tax control account. Obviously here it's the number and the code that is existing in Odoo. Obviously, if you want to use your own account, you can. Here we have only two. If you want to create specific ones based on the tax or whatever, you can. Here in this case, I'm just going to put the same one just for the sake of the exercise, because I think that's actually something that is the most of the time used, because my customers have done it like this. Up, up, and then same thing here for the rest. So purchase, Okay. So far, if I just base myself on what is at the end of my period to know what I have to pay and decide to pay only at that moment, like this, it's totally fine. But here you can see you have advanced tax payment account. This column is actually in case you are paying in advance, because actually a few companies obviously have to pay sometimes a huge amount of money for the taxes, and they know it in advance. For example, if they have a periodicity of 6 months, and they know that they have to every 6 months to pay, let's say, around 50,000, and they know it's always around that, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. But paying 50,000 in one go, it can be a bit difficult. So what they prefer is actually to pay little by little, and so you can define a waiting account where you are going to actually create a journal entry yourself, specifying that you paid already to the account of the government. Let's say you paid already 25,000, and then obviously you created a payment, and obviously the payment in Odoo, then you need to balance it with an account, and then you will use that account. I don't know here, I don't think I have one in the database with a tax payment account in advance, but you could create one, and then obviously, as there is no entry specifying what you owe to the government yet, it's then what you need to do is obviously to say, okay, I'm paying 25,000, so I have a bank statement saying that it's money that went out. Obviously, now I need to reconcile it with another account, which is then this one, and then obviously because this is paid, I can at the moment and because I specified here at the moment my end of the year journal entry, end of period journal entry is created, he will recognize that I have already paid 25,000. And because I have already paid 25,000 and that here the full amount is 50,000, it will actually say that you owe actually at the end 25,000 that are remaining, and that it's already taking into account what you already paid. So that is actually to allow you to pay in advance and then still having the journal entry that is correct, and that is then at the end telling you what you already owe based on what you already paid. But then obviously you need to specify here the tax account, which I don't here because I don't have one in the database, but obviously you can create your own. So now that this is configured, let's do a small use case. So let's get back into the settings. So if now the theory is just fine for you, you can stop the video. If you want to see a practical case, you can see it here. So periodicity, I'm going to say every, let's say quarterly. Okay, now I save. I'm just going to check also what is the end of the fiscal year, even though that has no link, but it's just by curiosity. Okay, December 31. Okay, save. Okay, so now that is done, I can get back into my dashboard. Obviously here I have nothing at the moment. And you see I have tax return for my Q1. So as I told you, it's already ready, and it's already specifying that it is for April, I think. Then from here, I can check into my journal entries. You see, as I told you, there is one that is already ready. And then if I wanted to have it computed with what is already in my tax report, I can click on refresh. There, obviously, there is nothing to process. And if I did not specify the tax account as I just showed you, you could not even refresh. That would ask you to put and to create to register your tax account. So you would have that already as a security. Then you can obviously link here to the tax report. So you see this is automatically done. You don't need to do that, and it's always ready for the next part. And it's not up to you to worry about that. And actually, I said here on the dashboard that it was for April. Actually, yes, it's because it's the sending you the notification for the 7th of April, because the end of the period is 31 of March, which is actually what I said in the settings. Here I said it's quarterly, so it's March, and then here obviously it is the reminder 7 days after. So the date you see in here, it's the date of the reminder. So now, obviously, as I told you, if I click here, I can see it is already filtered on the correct periodicity. If I go on reporting tax report, here also, but obviously double check it all the time just to be sure that you are looking into the correct things. Hey, I don't have any entries, so I'm going to create one. So let's create one. here up Deco Addict, whatever the product. Okay, here it's 0 rated, so it's not a good example. Let's take something with standard rate 20%. Confirm. Now, this is maybe not going to show, so I will need to reset to draft and change the invoice date actually. So that is in the first quarter. Yeah, obviously. So I will create a new one. Up invoice date, I'm going to say in the past. Storage box. The product, we don't really care. Okay, now it's confirmed. Now, if I go again in my dashboard, my tax return, and then there I can see that I have some value in it. And actually, I was a bit wrong because obviously we are the 26th of March. So yes, it is in the first quarter. So in any case, I should not have created a second one, but at least then we have two. And then we see we have everything here that is computed correctly in the correct boxes. And now if I click on closing journal entry, you can see that here is everything automatically computed. If I had decided to pay something in advance, I would have been able to see it here also. And then now I can see and I can post my entry. And then now I have my entry that is ready, and I have my PDF that is ready here also. And here I have my PDF, which is specifying the UK quarter, the first quarter of 2021. And then here it's the date of when I've done it. So there, everything is clear for you on how to use that. And then obviously, once this is done, you can get back into your tax report and connect to HMRC to send it. From there, as I mentioned, always double check if you can, because let's imagine I want to, if I was not in the correct moment in the year to publish it, maybe Odoo, at least in V13, would block you. Here in V14, I think it's working fine. But always double check what I told you at the beginning of the video for the theoretical part about here, the fact that maybe Odoo is counting on the calendar year instead of the real fiscal year that you have. So that's it actually. That's the main things you need to pay attention to. Besides obviously the fact that you have also here the log dates. And the log dates, you have here the tax log date, which is obviously defined based on what you have in here. So you can see here, because I said quarter, it's defining 31 of March. So it's basing the tax log date on the calendar year, because it's by default on Odoo. But you can adapt it yourself. And obviously here I have the other log date, and those log dates are for the journal entries, but that is something that is not linked specifically for the tax account or for the tax configurations of your reports. So I'm not going to go too much in detail over that, but it's the same idea is to locking the possibility for different level of different level of user to be able to continue to edit journal entries or no on that period once the period and the date is defined. So this is about everything about that. This is all the configurations you obviously need to do, and also the specificities with the UK that you always need to pay attention for the periodicity and to be sure that actually you are not blocked. But if you are blocked, it's easy. You just put it in monthly. The only thing that's going to happen is that maybe the PDF that is created when you publish your entry will not be correct, and maybe the fact that you are going to get notifications every month instead of every 3 months, but then everything else works and your data are correct, and then you are always sure that your information are sent to the government correctly.